to Marriage Monday, where each week we look at how to cultivate better marriages that last a lifetime.
Yeah, hey, this week we're going to be talking about pursuing your spouse. I was thinking about, I'm not like a huge gamer, but I do like playing video games. And maybe like once or twice a year, a new game will come out that I really want to play. And I know for me, I can tend to get really like sucked into games. I can tend to get like a little obsessive with games when I play a new game. And I know for me, I'll get a new game and I'll be like, I want to stay up all night and play this game, and I want to hurry home from work and play this game, and I want to like not go hang out with my friends because I want to play this game, right? And one of the things that's really exciting for me when I play a new game is always like seeing everything that's on the game. So I want to like unlock the maps and see the enemies and find the weapons and find the vehicles and the armors and all that kind of stuff. Like I want to go out and I want to find everything and I want to experience and I want to see it. And I know for me, there's a lot of times where maybe I don't finish games very often because once I've unlocked all that stuff and I've seen it, sometimes I can kind of get bored and I can just kind of want to just move on and find a new game. So there's a lot of games that I have where I haven't quite finished it all, and I've got it at 80% or something like that. I was thinking about how that can kind of relate to our relationships and our marriages sometimes too, how, at times you might have those milestones that you're working through. So it's like, I found a girl that I like. I want her to date me. Okay, now we're dating. Now we're engaged. Now we're married. Now we have kids, whatever it is. For a lot of people, it seems like maybe there's a milestone that once you reach that milestone, you kind of do the same thing and you can just kind of check out and start to coast. And things can kind of get boring. They can get kind of stagnant because you kind of, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, you kind of have kind of been there, done that, and you've already experienced those things. So they're not as new and exciting as they were when you first got together. So we just want to talk about this subject of pursuing your spouse, kind of like how you treated your spouse or how you thought towards your spouse when everything was new when you first got together, and how 5, 10, 25, 30 years down the road, you can be really thinking about how to sort of keep that same kind of fire going in different areas in your life. So we've got 7 tips. This is obviously not like an all extensive list. There's plenty of other things you can do, but this was just 7 that when we were talking about this subject, we thought really were important things to remember. So number 1 is intentionality. So for me, I think that it's easy for us to kind of get pulled in different directions by different responsibilities and obligations and things like that, no matter what it is. Maybe you've got work that's really demanding with your time, or you've got kids and they're in sports, or all these different things. It's going to take intentionality to really be able to keep that fire going. You're not just going to wake up one day and just, put in no work and think, oh wow, my marriage is perfect. So intentionality to me is like a really important thing. I need to intentionally think about what is going to make my spouse happy, what is going to make our relationship better, what is going to bring us closer together. Intentionally focus on those things.
Yeah, and I think when you've done that, like just like as a testimony, like I feel it like as your spouse, like you're being intentional with me, and that in turn makes me want to just be with you and appreciate you more. And I think that that's a huge part. Intentionality is a huge part. It goes both ways, with you and with me. So I think that's a huge one.
Yeah.
And another one that I wanted to share with you guys is focus on what they do right more than what they do wrong. And I think it's always easy, like when you have like a beautiful like white piece of paper and you put a black dot on there, where does your eyes like naturally get drawn to? It gets drawn right to that black dot. Even though you have this beautiful white like piece of paper, your eyes are gonna get right drawn there. And I think like in marriage, you're around your spouse all the time and you're seeing every part of them, what they do right, what they do wrong. And a lot of times we get drawn towards the wrong. We get drawn towards like, oh my gosh, they didn't pick up their clothes. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. And it can become the norm if we don't watch ourselves. And obviously you do have to have real conversation. You have to be able to tell them, hey, when this is not right, what's going on. You have to have that open door. But if you're always focusing on that, that can become draining. Think about like if you've ever been in a job where you've had your boss maybe sat you down and told you when you did something wrong. How did that make you feel? Obviously, it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. It hurts you. Like you feel like you let them down. You have that draining feeling. Now think about the opposite. When you've been praised at your job for what you did, how much did that like boost you up? How much did that lift you up, make you want to do it even more, and make you want to go further and do more? There's something that happens when you begin to praise versus when you make it feel like they did something wrong. Or you tell them when you did something wrong. And I think that there's a power in your praise of your spouse. Like there's something there that you can cultivate in your marriage, and it makes it boost even more the more you praise them for what they did right. And so I think it's important for us to recognize that in our spouse, recognize when they're doing something right. The more you praise, the more they're going to do it. And so look at what they do right. Be intentional about that. Find things that they're doing right. Praise them for that. Even more so, let that outweigh your critique. Let that outweigh the things that they're doing wrong, because there's always going to be something they're doing wrong. There's always going to be something you're going to find. But I think it takes sometimes even more work to look for the things that they're doing good and to actually praise them for that. So that's huge, I think, in pursuit of your spouse.
Yeah, definitely. So for number 3, we have learn how to best love your spouse. Everyone feels love differently, and there are different things that make people feel love differently. So what makes you feel like your spouse loves you, the things that they do, the things that they say, those might not be the same things that make them feel loved, which can be really frustrating and confusing. So next week, we're actually going to do a whole episode about love languages, which is going to talk about what is the one thing that really helps your spouse to feel love from you more than anything else, so that you can really help to be, again, intentional in those things that you do, because what I'm looking for from my spouse isn't necessarily always what my spouse is looking for from me. So learning those things that, oh, when I do this, she really lights up. And when I do this, she just really seems to really come to life and just be so energized. It might not be things that I want her to say or do or whatever back to me, but I can see those things and I can use that to really help her to feel loved by me.
Yeah, and I think that's so good to just remember that it's more than you. It's more than your wants and your needs, because we can always look at ourselves and what we want and what we need, but to think about somebody else is like a huge part of relationship. It's a huge part of our marriage.
Sure.
The next thing I want to share about is flirt with him. When we're dating and when we're, in love and we're so excited, it's the honeymoon phase. We get excited and it's fun to flirt, and there's something that is like stirred there. There's a passion that's stirred there. And then when we get married, sometimes it's like, wait, where did that all go? Like, where's like the flirting side of things? And it takes intentionality, I think, to do that. But if you can do that, that's a way that you can pursue your spouse. Flirt with them. Find ways to maybe text them a heart, or, let them know like you're thinking of them. Maybe find a way that they are appreciated. Maybe you made them something like specific that they like to eat, or whatever that might be. But find ways to engage in that flirting with your spouse. And I think even though it might sound like, oh, we did that, we don't need to do that anymore. I think that there's something about that like childlike pursuit of your spouse. The same as like when in the Bible it talks about our pursuit of God, and how like when we seek him, we'll find him. When we go after him, we'll find more of who God is. And I think that's why the Bible likens our relationship to God like a marriage, because it is like the more you seek your mate, the more you'll find more of them, and the more you'll love them, the more you'll want to know more of them, and the more they'll want to have that same relationship with you. And I think that kind of like sparks that fire, that passion back with your mate as you keep that, side of you going. So flirt with your spouse, have fun, come back to that place of remembering what was it like before we got married? What was it like when we were dating? And try to bring some of that back to your marriage and whatever that might look like.
Yeah. So number 5 is be spontaneous. Sometimes, as you're in a relationship for a long time, as you've got a lot going on, things can get stale, things can get predictable, things can get boring, things can just feel old, they can feel recycled, like every day, today is going to be like yesterday, things like that. So being spontaneous, it doesn't have to be something huge like I spontaneously planned us like a 10-day trip to Jamaica or something. Obviously, that's not in everyone's budget, but, little things like, hey, I got us reservations at your favorite restaurant, or I heard that you wanted to try this kind of food, or you wanted to see this kind of movie, or you wanted to go do this. And so I was thinking about you even when we weren't together, and I planned something fun for the both of us spontaneously, and I'm going to mix things up and I'm going to keep things fun and exciting. It can be a great way to just kind of re-energize that and reinvigorate it and really, get you to be guessing like, oh man, what does he have planned? He planned this surprise for me. I don't know what's going on. It can really be a fun way to just break up the monotony and break up, the day-to-day after a long period of being together, and just to really have fun together and try new things and show that you are thinking about them.
Yeah, and I think like there's ideas out there. So if you're like looking for ideas to like, what could we do that's spontaneous? The internet is like full of ideas. You could literally probably type in like fun things to do with your spouse on date night, and it'll give you like this whole list of things to do. And I think that that's important. Just like do a little research, find some fun things that you can do. I know one thing that's really been fun for us is we got kayaks, and we just started to go kayaking, and it was so fun because it was like we could take them whenever we were feeling like it, and we can go and we can just be re-energized by doing something fun, getting into nature. It's free, literally. I mean, we bought the kayaks, but it's free just to get out and go do something like that. So whatever that might be, that could help just have fun and be spontaneous together. And I think to go along with that, the next one that I wanted to share about, number 6, we're almost done. Number 6 is focus on him. So focus on your spouse. Put your focus on them when it's time to spend time with them. And I know Aaron kind of talked about love languages earlier, but one of his top love languages is
quality time.
Quality time. Yeah. So he really likes quality time where I'm focused on him. And I will be honest, I'm not the best at this sometimes. Like I easily get distracted by my phone or something that came up, a text that somebody sent, or maybe, it's Instagram or whatever I'm flipping through. And we might be on a walk and I'm just like looking at my phone, and I find myself like, oh my gosh, I could be spending quality time with him right now, and I totally missed that moment. And so I don't want to miss any moments with him, and it's easy to do. And so sometimes it's just like, hey, put that phone down, go for a walk with your spouse, and don't have your phone with you. And that's a challenge, but I think that the more that we do that, the more we focus on our spouse and their wants, their needs, kind of like what Aaron was already sharing about. But focus is such a huge thing that we don't have a lot of these days, where everything is so easily accessible. There's so many distractions out there, we don't even realize it sometimes. Yeah. But if you take time to focus on your spouse, you will see some amazing, I think, results in your marriage and in cultivating something really special in your marriage.
Yeah. So number 7, this is the last one on the list. It kind of goes along sort of with what Michelle said, but I put connect often. Mm-hmm. And, it's really easy when you've got a lot going on. You've got your kids doing a million activities, and you've got your job that wants you to work later and later. It's really easy to go long periods of time without ever connecting, without talking, and you can start to feel kind of distant. Even though, oh, I saw you this morning, sometimes after a long day, you can get home and kind of feel like you haven't seen each other or talked to each other in a long time. So, you know, one thing that's really nice is just send each other a text throughout the day. If you have, you know, time between meetings, you can make a short phone call each other. You know, let them know, I was thinking about you. I'm excited to see you. I hope your day's going good. You know, what's going on? What are the kids doing? Things like that. It just makes a really good way to just show someone that you care about them.
Yeah.
You're thinking about them, even in the midst of all the craziness. You're still thinking about them, and you're still interested in them and invested in them. And a little note or a little text or something like that sometimes can do wonders to brighten someone's day if they're having a hard time or whatever. Just to be able to say, how's it going? Oh, babe, I'm sorry to hear that. How can I pray for you? How can I help you? You know, oh, that's so awesome that happened. I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you. Connecting all throughout the day and just really being a part of each other's life, even when you're not necessarily face to face.
Yeah, so that's it. That's all 7. And we're going to actually put those into the description so that you can remember all 7 of those. But we hope that you got something out of this and how to pursue your spouse. There's so many other ways that you can do that, but we picked 7, like we said. And so we hope this helped you today. Next week, we are going to be talking about the 5 love languages.
Oh, yeah.
So we're so excited to get to bring that to you and kind of just talk about what that is. If you've never heard about it before, it's a really cool way to be able to have something applicable to your relationship with your spouse and help you just learn them even more and talk to them even more. So we love you guys, and we will see you next week.
See ya.